I just got ginger up my nose. It's fine, everything's okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making salted caramel buttercream gingerbread cookie sandwiches. This can be found specifically at the Germany Pavilion in Epcot at Disney World. It has a pavilion with, it's like a little store that features all caramel baked goods. There's caramel popcorn, caramel cookies. It's called Karamelle Küche? Caramel...
Huh?
I'm not German, but Karamelle Küche, it translates to caramel cuisine, and it is a specialty holiday item. So it is available now through Christmas. And I found this on one of my social media feeds. It popped up the other day from Disney Food Blog. When I saw pictures of this, it reminded me of a Little Debbie's oatmeal cream pie, which is my guilty pleasure. I love those. I decided I'm going to make a dupe of this, and we'll see how it turns out. First things first, I want to dissect this cookie. It features 2 soft and chewy gingerbread cookies. In between those cookies is a fluffy and light salted caramel buttercream. Drizzled on top of the buttercream is a salted caramel ribbon. Putting all of this together, it creates the salted caramel gingerbread cookie sandwich. And I am super excited to try to make this today. So the ingredients you need are all laid out in front of me. You are going to need all-purpose flour, ginger, cinnamon, ground cloves, baking soda, salt, butter, white and brown sugar, molasses, vanilla extract, and eggs. And we are going to be reusing a lot of these ingredients. So for the buttercream frosting, butter and powdered sugar, vanilla extract, and some of our caramel that we're going to be making. For the caramel, we're going to need white sugar, butter, vanilla extract, and heavy cream. The first thing we're going to do is make our dough for our gingerbread cookies, because that does need to chill for about 4 hours. There is a shortcut though. You can put it in the freezer for about 25% of that time. So I will be putting my dough in the freezer for 30 minutes. Hopefully that chills it enough. I guess we'll find out. I have my trusty silver daddy here. And another bowl for the dry ingredients. So for the dry ingredients, you are going to need 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour. The next thing we need is 1.5 tablespoons of ground ginger. We need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I have ground cinnamon here. Nope, that's ground cloves. We don't want to do that. Okay, we're gonna put that back because I almost just made a big boo-boo by putting cloves instead of cinnamon. I mean, it does call for cloves, but not that much. So the cinnamon I have here. So we are going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. That's 2. Next, we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. So that's 1, 2, 3/4. Next, we're going to do 4 teaspoons of baking soda. And then if you're using unsalted butter, you're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. If you're using salted butter, which I don't recommend, you can leave the salt out. I just spilled a bunch on the counter. So that is all of our dry ingredients. I'm just going to give that a quick whisk. The next thing we're going to do is whip our butter and sugar together. So the recipe calls for 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature. I feel like I'm not prepared for this. But I guess that's just kind of what we're going to be doing on this channel. And then we need to add our sugar. We are going to be doing 1 cup of granulated white sugar. We are going to whip this together until it's fluffy. We want to make sure that we leave it long enough so that it gets some air in there. We want this to be really fluffy and incorporated. So our sugar and our butter are fully combined. They're light and fluffy. The next thing we want to do is add our molasses into this mixture. And we are going to be doing 1/2 cup of molasses. It does not smell good. This might take a while.
1 eternity later.
So we've added our molasses into the butter and sugar mixture. The next thing we need is 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we are going to lightly combine that. The last thing we need to add is our 2 eggs into this mixture. We're going to add 1 and 2. I just got it all over the mixer. That's fine, everything's fine. And then we're going to combine that together. Now I'm gonna add my dough mixer attachment. because this gingerbread dough is a lot thicker than what I think the whisk can handle. I'm gonna show you what this looks like because I'm kind of scared. It almost looks curdled, but there's no milk in this, so I'm just gonna keep going and hope for the best. So once you have all of your wet ingredients, we're going to add our dry ingredients and form this into a ball of dough. So I added half of my dry ingredients into the wet, and I'm just going to combine. Now I'm gonna add the rest of my dry ingredients into this mixture. It's looking a lot better now, so I am less worried, and we are just going to mix this until it forms a good ball of dough. So this has been mixing for a couple of minutes now, and we have a good ball of dough formed. So what I'm going to do is put this in a freezer bag, and we are going to freeze this for about 30 minutes so that all of the ingredients get a chance to incorporate. Now we're going to make our salted caramel. We're going to put in a medium heavy pot 1 cup of sugar, and we're going to let this melt on the stove. So let's cross our fingers, let's pray that this doesn't crystallize and I don't have to do it again. The small pan was a failure. I'm going to try again with a wider pan, that way there's more of an even cooking surface, and hopefully this one doesn't burn. I'm going to keep a close eye on it and just make sure that if it starts to melt, it's cooking evenly. So as you can see, our caramel has started melting. Then I said to let this cook for about 2 minutes, and that's when we'll add our cream, our salt, and our vanilla. So it's half a cup of cream. We're gonna whisk that in. And it's 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm gonna turn the heat off. Take this off the heat. So now I am going to bottle this. Now that our caramel's done, we're going to make our buttercream. To start, we're going to put 2 sticks of room temperature butter in the mixer here, and we're going to beat this until it's light and fluffy. Okay, so now that our butter is nice and fluffy, we are going to add 4 cups of powdered sugar slowly to this as it's mixing. So I've added all of the powdered sugar. The next thing we're going to add is a half teaspoon of vanilla and about 2 tablespoons of the caramel sauce that we made. Okay, so I have everything mixed together. I'm gonna give this a taste test to make sure that there's enough caramel. I think it's perfect. There's just enough salt. You can taste the caramel flavor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get this in a piping bag, ready to pipe, and then we're good to start baking our cookies. We are ready to start baking our gingerbread cookies. I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees. So it's gonna be about 4 tablespoons or about half a cup of dough. And we're gonna place that on the sheet and we're gonna press them down a bit. That way, when they bake, they don't spread out too much. We're gonna try that again. So I have here my 4 tablespoons or half a cup of cookie dough. We're gonna place that on our sheet. I sprayed the bottom of this plate so it doesn't stick, and we're gonna just squish this down. Perfect. So that way when these bake, they don't spread out too much. Going to bake these in our 375 degree oven for about 8 to 9 minutes. I'll probably do 9 minutes. The cookies are now completely cooled. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip them over. I did burn them a little bit. So you might want to do 8 minutes in the oven, not the 9 or 10. completely fill the cookie. And we're going to do that for each one. And then the last thing you're going to do is just do caramel ribbons on the top. And then we're just going to close the cookie sandwiches. The cookies are done. I made a couple lattes to go with them. Final product. And rip one in half too so that we can see what the inside looks like. Came out a lot better than I expected. I guess the last thing to do is to try these. That is like the perfect amount of sweetness and saltiness. The gingerbread cookies are very soft. They're not overly chewy. I think I might have messed up on them at some point, but overall it's still really good. These are absolutely delicious. Well, I am no Disney adult, but I am really glad that this popped up on my newsfeed and that I was able to recreate it. I hope that if this is something you think you'd like, you're able to recreate it. As always, the recipe is in the description of this video. I'll include the original link too for the blog from Disney Food Blog. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you get notified next time I put out a video. And leave a comment down below if you've ever tried this at Disney World. I'm interested in hearing your feedback. Thank you guys for watching. I am AJ, and I am not a chef.
Order up.
Herbie, get out of there. What are you doing? Herbie. Herbie.